let's swap that over. Looks like everything's going now. I have no idea if that's working or not. Hello, greetings. Welcome to another live stream. I'm going to be working on another, I guess, Reddit request kind of thing. I was building some modulus buildings to learn how to study buildings, little simple block ones, and I saw somebody wanting a critique about their blocky looking ship from Space Engineers. So I figured I would start off by trying to duplicate that as much as possible. Just because their ship wasn't actually pasted, we had a couple of pictures for it, and I've got those pictures. Can I overlay those pictures here? Yes. Let's overlay the pictures. Um, is that even working? Hold on now. This is pushing. Is that pushing? Let's refresh this. This is pushing, that is pushing, but I need the test to go. There you go. Okay, well, I can see this now. Okay, now that I can see, I guess I need to do the introduction all over again because nobody knows what we're doing. Mellow greetings. Back into Space Engineers, and I was looking at some build studies for buildings. Just trying to duplicate the modulus style. That's modulus from a game that's coming out, another one of those little factory conveyor belt, build your own city to do things. And those are very simple looking buildings, but even in their simplicity, they can be very beautiful just with a bunch of squares. And as I was perusing Reddit, I saw somebody have some questions about their ship. They wanted a critique on their ship. Let me pull it over, since that's where I was just talking. We'll pull this over in transition. This is their ship that they wanted to critique. And I wrote out a little bit for it, but I figure I'd iterate on it. I really like this back end. It kind of makes it look Battlestar Galactica, big, beefy ship, or a heavy industrial. But we kind of lose what's going on here with wheels and other things going on. A giant hangar right at the rear, which would make it super easy to split your drive section from the rest of the ship in half. A weirdly placed nacelle, one gun on this side, there's one gun mirrored on the other, and then giant lateral thrusters off on the side. To me, it kind of loses what it's trying to do across it. Is it industrial? Is it a cargo ship? Kind of doesn't know what it wants to be. And then I did point out that I really like these rib sections here, almost as if it were like a radiator trying to cool something, which would actually be very cool if this was just like all railguns on the underside and it were some sort of giant warship, but I don't really have a good enough picture to see that, and those very well could just be railguns down there for just that. But I'm going to try to rebuild this, at least the exterior, and then iterate it on a couple times to make it look slightly more true to a particular form. So make it look like a cargo ship or some other kind of industrial ship. And then that'll be that. I can publish those and that user can do whatever they want with those ships, but this is more for my learning experience. And if you learn from it too, then fantastic. That's what we're here for, is to kind of share those learned experiences with each other. I moved that off to the side. Let me go here, get rid of that desktop just in case anything else comes in. And we'll start to build here. Pull my pictures back out because I kind of lost them with all the windows here. We won't be needing you, but we do want you as I rotate through. This is an odd one for sure. Come up this way, and then we have some 2x1s. Is that centered? Let's move 1, 2, 3, 4 spikes. So I've got a knot spike in the center. And I'm just going to leave this beam as it is now. I don't know what's under there, but from the outside there isn't any related piece coming through. And then we have our 2x1s coming through on this bottom bit out. And then it doesn't look like these go all the way up. These have to go flat back, at least to some extent. This part does go back, maybe all of 4 blocks. We'll measure that here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep. 1, 2, 3, 4 off of that picture. And then it looks like it's another ramp here. We're going to say this, we're going to stick with a 2x1 to get up to the same height, because I can't really tell what it is from that angle. I guess I could just swap angles to another one from the front. I'm going to call it a 2x1. Like that. Kind of seals it off visually. So we have that piece coming up. And then this actually slopes down again. Hold on, are you only a half block in there? This may only be a half block right here. 1, 2. Yeah, that could be what it is, because that looks more accurate, and then that makes these all half blocks too. Which is cool to do as well. You don't have to use big divots. Small divots work. All depends on what this ship is trying to do. And then let's come back out here, because we have another slope of this coming down. And then after the 4, this comes up again. We'll just kind of pull that back across. And this across there. And then we'll do another set of half blocks through here. And then these guys coming in here, here, here. So now we've got our 4 prongs like that. And then we can go back up here. And this looks like there's supposed to be a void coming through this middle section. It's kind of weird, but as we can see, we're building structural integrity as we come across, so there doesn't have to be something right there. And then we've got these little tapered tips that don't go up, and that's how I was able to call this 4 wide, or 4 long from it to you, and then you transition up. And then a triangle. Now if I did that right, it looks like I'm off. Let's go back to this picture. Or it could just be that's how it is supposed to be. Tip. This little corner pieces. Angle up. Nope, that is right. That looks like it comes across. So this is only 3 across here, because this triangle should be back here. So this is even more stout. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, so this is only 1, 2, 3 blocks. So it should be easy enough to fix. Let's pull some stability through here because I don't want to break everything so super easily. That should all be easily removed. How about you too? And now you should just be attached at that one point. And if this end comes up, I will take these guys down. Then I should just be able to cut here. Now you're free floating. And then I will cut from here and paste. There we go. That should be what we have, which makes this even shorter on the inside, which is fine. I kind of liked it a bit longer, to be honest. Maybe that's what I'll do for an iteration of it. And then on here, looks like we had 2 down, and then we can go back to our 7s for those 2x1 bases. Pull these guys down and have some halves in here. Then back here, we had some massive ion thrusters. I don't even know if I have ion thrusters on here. I don't particularly like ion thrusters myself. I just don't like their thrust output. Ion, and we had the Warfighter ion ones. Or Warfare, rather. Ion, this has all of them now. Oops, this one. Yeah, I do like how they grouped all the thrusters together. So you used Warfare. You kept them in line here. Here. And then stack up top. Yeah, and then you had a 2x1 coming over here. That's sticking out. Yes, it is. And then you with the 2x1s coming here and here. And then we can just duplicate that everywhere else. Even though this is a triangle, which means it's not a triangle, it is also 2x1 slopes. Maybe that's why it looks like it was a little longer than what I had it. This base, this. And then up here, we just had you block across, and that should seal the middle part. And then, what are these? It might actually be all flat. Let's go to another picture real fast. No, you do have some angles in there. It does look like it may even be 2x1s. No, that can't be. It has to be just this up here. You pull that back, and then you've got some squares coming through. Let's find another picture. Yeah, that is flat all the way down. And now the question is, how far back did that go? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I can only guess that much. Looks like we have a turret in here. Do we have a turret? It might be the smaller one. Yeah. Setting forward. And here, I think that's what you have. And I'm not going to like how these things are just moving all over the place, so I'm going to turn them off. Where is my battery? There you are. Let's turn our turrets off. That way they can't move anymore. I really don't like how they just move around randomly. Actually, I should just turn my battery off, and then that way nothing can work. Alright, take that, forward thinking. So we've got 2 blocks slanted up. And then I don't know what this other piece is here. It might even be a window. But this is what I was counting 6 of. 3, 4, 5, 6 to get back to here. And then on top of you, that one's a triangle for sure. Looks like you even have 2 of them. And then this is flat across here as well. And in this little area here, you've got some of these new bridge blocks. Let's go. I don't even think I have them on this page. I probably don't. I think they would be in there. No, no, let's put them in here. Our bridge window blocks. Let's take a look at you guys. We've got a lot of new stuff that I haven't used yet. But right now, I want to use what you used. So, no. That's not it. It's not that one. That one. That's the one that has all these different bits in it. And then I don't even know if you have bridge helm on all 3 of these. We'll just do 1 with the bridge helm, 2 without, and then you come inside with the squared ones, is it? Looks like you squared it off. Find another picture of your bridge. Yeah, you come in, you're not squared, so you just taper in. Not even that one. No. 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 I think I was closer going the other way. No. 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 I think that's what you used. And then you have a new counterpart that goes right here. And that's probably what you have as well. That way now we can accept normal glass across the top. And I can't really see what you've got beyond that. This goes up. It looks like it is 2 blocks thick, so I will drag that backwards. And then we need to find another angle. You've got some scaffolding and a door, it looks like. Up here. Do I have scaffolding? Yes. We're going to angle. It comes off where? It almost looks like it comes back that way. And then does some get up for you to get on. And then you have your stairs. Stairs and a ladder. No, stairs aren't in the ladder anymore. They're in the ramp. Let's put our ramp over here. Right? Yeah, ramp. Ramp has those, so we'll put you there. Because your stairs go backwards. Then we'll go back over here. So if I find the one with nothing, catwalk there, and then you get the elbow again. Because that's what it looks like, that you've got an elbow. And then we come down here. And then it would be logical for you to have that to block it off. And that makes you a door. And then I don't know what this piece is, but you're probably mirrored. Let's put a door here. Ooh, we've got new doors, lab doors and stuff. Yeah, that makes me want to do even more shipbuilding and building. But for right now, let's go for a classic door. That's what you used. There. And then I have no idea what comes after that. But it should be something. And this is also hard to tell from the top. You probably only go back like one block or so. Because I can't tell where this triangle bit goes. But if I leave those there for now, I do this. And then do the taper that you've got. Actually, number 8 taper, because it looks like you do that and that with some of these guys in here. And then that. But I really can't tell this distance. That looks about right from your reference photo. But it's super hard for me to tell. And if that's the case, then I can put a big piece of glass in here, 2x3, can sit up high. And I can't sit a nice glass in there because this is in the way. Actually, I can. I can put glass on top of there. Let's do that little bit of glass work. Glass work isn't easy in this game either. I've always found it to be a bit of a pain. But if you can make it look very nice, it can be very nice. 1x1s. I don't want to put glass on the inside here because it's going to take up that space, but at least here it's on the top. Same thing here. 2x1s, I want this one 2x3 flat. You're not going to be mirrored, you're just going to be there. Do I have my pointer? I'm going to pull out my drill for pointing. There we go. So that way, this piece of glass is sitting on this block space. It's up. So if I can put anything else on the inside, I'll be fine there. These side pieces are probably better off with some more bridge walls or something. Or I can even just make it blocks themselves. But I can't tell from right now. Let's see if I can find another piece that'll sit in there nicely from this. And it's going to be something that's pretty square looking. Not this one because it's sloped. I don't like any of those to go there. So for now, I'm just going to block it off. And that way I don't have to deal with it, but it still gives to the structural integrity. Same thing I did here. This is a door to nowhere, but that block has to be something. So we'll just move on from there. This ladder comes out. looks like there's only one block of space, and then something else comes up here. So if there's space, block, space, maybe that's fitting for whatever you've got going on here. Let's see if I can't find another angle or it'll let me zoom in. Those are angled panels wrapping around a atmo thruster. I'm hoping that rotates, but from your picture, I can't tell. Those are angled panels. So they would have to be on a rotor. That's my guess. I'm going to build it fixed because I can't tell. And that's just what I'm going to go with. Go back to this picture. So space there, and then this is where I could do stuff. So this is square, square, square into that transition, but you've got some panels that come up. 1, 2, 3. And then it looks like you have an ion thruster that's inset here. Nine ion thruster. Big. I'm going to have to go push this guy in just a little bit. I have a mounting point that is favorable. That can't be right. For the ion thruster, is that only the 2 side? Yeah. Then it would have to be fixed for it only to, so it has to sit out to there. So for it to only sit out a little bit, it has to be a fixed piece. So that top part doesn't really matter as much, and then you have what looks to be a large grid atmo thruster. I'm just going to get rid of my hydrogen thruster, put that atmo thruster on there. That's what this looks like. What about the big boy? Because you're in big boy territory. But that's going to be way too big because this is only 2 wide. And I can only see a portion of it. But that's what I'm going to guess is right there. And then you had flat panels coming out. I'll tap this one in here for structure. Yeah, that can't be anything else because that's only 2 wide. You could have put 2 of these in there. But I can't really see. 5 for the panels. We'll put your panels in here. 6 panels. 2, 3. And then you go back down. But because you don't have anything over there, I don't have anything over there, I'm just going to slap those guys down for structure. This is not right. This ion thruster has to scooch back. For this to look right. Because it was in the center of that whole shebang. And that could be okay. On the back side you had these pieces, and then you went into some hangar doors. Newer hangar doors. Let's pull. These pieces come down. That's flat. So we're coming back from here. Is where we're building off of. take that one down. Hanger doors look like are over here, and I don't think I have hanger doors in here. I don't. That's a regular door. Hanger doors. And you've got to be down here. Warfare ones with a little window. That looks about right. Coming in through your triangular bit. Yes. 4, 2, 3, 4. And then up here, we're doing the same but opposite. Whatever this is coming off of, just got to seal this. 1, 2, 3. But you've got little half plate, or it could be another 2x1 base up there. We'll look at another picture here. 3, 4. And then we'll drag that down. Then looks like you slope down a little bit more. This. There. This is something else, another feature you have coming out on that line particularly. And down here. And this we're going to pull out here. Looks like 2 flat and then 1 more to taper in. That looks right to me. And that's what these things are doing here. Scroll down here. 2. That looks okay. This looks like it's that. A little jarring coming off of a square piece. That's fine. Let's see if we have another picture from the rear to get a better read on that. And it's kind of hard to tell too. Oh, I see a bit of this rear bit, more detail here. So yeah, this is bulky out here, but the nacelle bits taper in a bit more. And then they have a bit of a division. This doesn't sit in here at all. We're going to get rid of you. I'm going to put the thrusters here, and then we'll see that placement a bit better for that piece I just removed. So this is building some cowling around those thrusters, which is very good. I do like that. Then see if I can do this any justice here. There. There. So this is where it tapers in from here. And it looks like it might just be a harsher taper from there coming in on that block. So it's similar, it's just inset 1 more to come in. And then here, you might actually be doing the same, because we have this same cowling on the inside, it looks like. Let's pull that in, duplicate it. And then it was 2. And then I can't see what happens on the inside because by this point, these are really close together, and it looks like you have a connector dead center in here. And it looks like it's at that same level too. I'm going to set that there, and I'm just going to draw a line out. Connector would go here, and we actually have to change our blocks because this is no longer a collector for everything. We've got multiple connectors. Your connector is this new flush one that we've got. I don't know if it's angled up or down, that extra piece. It probably goes like that, because you do have that kind of covered as well. Put some more bits on you. Let's just go straight up the 2x1 slopes. And then it looks like it transitions to just this. So gradual at first, and then a little more steep. And then we'll do the same thing here. So slow, slow, deep, steep, 7. There we go. And I can't see what's on the other side here, but I do have a space for something. And that looks like it might just be a plate, because I can't see the other side of it. All I can see is this side. I'll leave that for now because that's more of a minor detail. I want to get more of the structure in here. From this angle that I've got from the picture, it looks like it might even just be ending. Let's pull this over real fast, and then we'll transition over to that desktop capture. So this is where I'm at. I just built this rear piece in. I don't know what's with all these tires, but I'll put that in a second. This is equal parts sloping up there. And this is probably a triangle coming in from this middle piece. Triangle in, and then I'll put a plate on the opposite side there. That way I seal up the other big connector port. And then I don't know what to do in here. See what those go to. They probably just block in. So let's move this over and take a look. I will put a plate here. Doesn't need a plate on both sides, but it's going to get it because it's mirrored. And then we'll put this in here. And that'll probably block there, and then I can even block this off. So that way that is visually sealed. I don't need to do anything there. That does kind of seal this area too, in which case I just close that off. And then same thing down here. I can just close that off, visually seal it as well. That is a pretty neat looking back area. I still say that. I stand by that. Put these in here to support the two. And then you've got something going on up here. You've got something coming across the top. See if I can find another angle. This. 1, 2. U. And maybe it's just this coming across. Although this does look like it comes all the way out. From my reference picture, it doesn't just taper in there. That's kind of weird. But I like how this looks with them stacked and having that little bit of space in there. I think that looks good. I'm just doing the best that I can to replicate with what I've got. Let's find another angle from the rear piece. You have a whole upwards facing thruster. I can't see. Do you have an ion thruster behind the Atmo thruster? I think you do. Because that's an ion. This is clearly an ion. But that doesn't look like an ion thruster. Maybe something behind it? So in this space, I can absolutely put in another ion thruster. Yeah. So let's... You've got warfighters everywhere, so let's put another warfighter. Let's see which way is it facing. It looks like it's running. I can see the yellow. That or this. It looks like it has to be going this way. And that does stay... No, that's contrary to what you've got here. These are flat. That's the yellow bit in the middle. So you are coming this way. Just like that. Because I can see just that tip of yellow. The perspective is weird, so it looks like it's just that wide. Yeah, I'm going to go with that. And then I don't know what you did for the rest of your top back there. Kind of looks like you tapered it down in sections off of this. So like if you did a 7, I can't tell. Like in every other one, taper like you did before. So if we come this way, this looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you had something angle across. I would guess it'd be in here, like so. But it almost looks like it's a full block, not a whole block. I mean, a full block, not a half block over there. The lighting in the pictures isn't the best. I think the answer is that you have half blocks and full blocks doing something similar from the front as you did. So if that's the case, this inner one will be the half, and then you have to be full. I think you did just the opposite, because I can see a half block, and I bet this is a full block coming through then. And that's why I see that faint piece in there. I'm going to go with this, because you seem to like to alternate pieces. You... Doot. 7 here again. And we'll drag these through here. And I'll put the tips in for this. Not super stable at the moment, but we're just building out the frame. All I care to do, not going to build the super functional ship from it, but just get a frame. And sometimes that's cool too. I like to actually build the frames of ships. And it's like, hey, this is the idea that I want, and I'm going to make that, and then I force everything inside of it. And speaking of inside, let's go turn my lights on and come in here. So even with, let's just assume that this is all closed off cavity. That we've got nothing on that side and nothing on this side, which would make sense if this is your hangar. And I don't know what's underneath, tires or something over there, but we can try to close off the bottom here in a minute. But with this right here, there's only so much hangar space you have, and with the shape of it, I don't know how you've made your spaceships, but they're going to be tall the way you have this because this is a tall opening. But when I make a lot of ships, I tend to make them horizontal like an airplane. So wide is what I would need, which means that you could either run two decks in here, one oriented normal to the ship gravity, and then one actually done opposite. So an example of shipbuilding and function, the Battlestar Pegasus has flight pods that on each of them, so it's got two of them, and then each of those two flight pods have a top and a bottom. And that way you can have some aircraft come in normal to the gravity of the ship and then others upside down just to utilize both halves of that same hangar deck. You could potentially do this, except instead of having it in the middle split, you would have a deck up there for craft and then a deck down there for craft. And that's what I would do with this vertical opening. But personally, I wouldn't put a giant cavity in the middle of my ship there, especially with, as I'm framing this out, if this is the only thing that's holding it together, a good warhead there could literally cut your drive section off from everything else. So I don't think that's necessarily the best in the ship design. But we're still not done building, so let's get to it, and then we can talk about iterations here in a bit. Let's try to find where these tires go, because they're just kind of there. But where there and what kind? Possibly just a square? A square here? But it can't be one. You would have to be two. And then I've got to find my wheels. Just the wheels. All the wheels. Normal wheels. Nope, nope, nope. You look like normal wheels. You could be 2x2s. Your 2x2s, does that stay there? Can I place? Yes. So it's possible there's just one block with 2x2s coming across. Maybe that's your landing gear. I don't know. I don't know. And if that's the case, this is dangerously close to the ground, and you likely have plates across here on the bottom. Because I don't get a good sight of what's down there. I just see wheels. Where's your picture like this? That looks about right from what I'm seeing. It's just wheels. This top part looks pretty decent. There's some variation that you've got going on in here. Let's go to the front and then try to ad-lib off of that. This part is definitely correct, but it looks like it kind of just ends. So I'm just going to pull these blocks through. Even though I know this isn't what you have. Because it almost looks like you've got nothing here. And then you go into... Let's do it. 2x1 bases. It almost looks like you have a path or something through there, which is possible because you did put some catwalks up here, but it doesn't look like your catwalks go all the way back. And then you have another turret. Where's your final turret here? Turrets. I think that's close to what you have for the ship. Now, I'm going to go out on a limb and say those are rail guns straight across. That's almost the depth for them. Can I see anything else? I think I see that angle of it. So let's get rid of... That's all tied in back here. That's fine. So I get rid of these initial structure pieces. We'll let you go back a bit more. I know I haven't broken too much of the ship because I'm still getting the color plane from the mirror mode. That's how you can usually tell if you've messed something up. If you've separated a piece and then you go to look at it when you know you had the mirror mode engaged and all of a sudden it's not working anymore, then you probably messed something up. So that looks like it should be there, but that is sticking out way too far. It is sticking out by 3 blocks, which means these hanging lower, because I know these thrusters are in the right place. But you can't have these hanging 3 blocks lower if these are railguns that go there. And I don't have a good front picture for you. I don't know what those are. Let's pull this up front here. Oh, these are blast door blocks. So I don't know what is here, but these are blast door blocks with this little distinct piece of detail here. So this is the blast door edge coming across the front, and I don't know what you've got in there. I would assume that you would want braking thrust at some point. And that might be what this little bit of glow is an ion braking thruster. So I can put that in there. And on the spike that comes out, that looks like there is another pillar coming down. Let's do those changes. So not this. The ones that come forward. Have a pillar. How about that? And then ion braking thruster. Just going to stick these guys just like that. We're just going to have an absolute ton of them. There, there. Or I'm not going to have that many. These guys are gone. You're going to get replaced with this, and then let's find that blast door block. Not any of you. Blast door block it is. With a little blast door tip. Actually... Ooh, are you inset too? That could be... just the edge. Just like so. All the way across. I think that looks right. Because the blast door edge doesn't look like it comes past this right here. It's just black blast door edges going back. But then this piece is too far forward. There's some weird shenanigans. What if I change this? What if I just do that? Now I can have that set back and still be connected to things. Is it still connected to things? Oops, I do not want those to be triangles. And then because this thruster almost looks like it's further back too. That does look kind of mean. I do like that. For like a warship or something, that's kind of a mean face for it. And I can't see what's in here, or at least it's black. So we'll push that through to be black. That's sealed up, that's sealed up. And I have no idea what's going on the underside, but to finish it, sorry to say, I'm going to do you a little dirty here and just put plates everywhere to seal that up. And that's kind of what I think your ship looks like. Now I've built it in white, so let's fix that. We'll default your colors. You've got blue and clean, maybe. Blue and clean looks about right. And then you had some black pots in there, or maybe they're just dark, because these are black. I think that's probably black too, or at least we're gonna just call it this darker gray color. Going through here, that I love the paint tool. This one too. Just lets me go in there and tap those blocks. You guys are the lightest gray. It looked like this is gray. Your scaffolding, actually your scaffolding is not mirrored, so that's on me. And I didn't make it functional in here. But whatever to that. Just to make these pieces pop. You and this ion thruster are different. And I'm going to color... Oh, you had some black in the back. I'm going to call you... Oops. Call you guys gray. And then this was camo. A darker gray. Or... Ew. It's got to be digital camo, not camouflage. Woodlands. No, it's got to be digital. Disco. Where is it? We had a digital camo, didn't we? This one. It's green? The green looking one. Glossy. There you are. So camo, I can't even see it. I'll color that too. Boop. And... Oh. You pulled a piece out this way anyways, because from this angle, I can see, yes, this is correct, but also there is another piece coming in this way. Right through here. That's why I was thrown off. There, and then this is actually the tip that goes inwards. That. And you're all camo too. Sure. I think that's what your ship looks like. For the most part. Yeah, and that even accounts for this little weird bit. I'm like, what is this block? It's the ion thruster poking through. Okay. Well, that is interesting. And I need to copy you out, and I'll move you to the side. I'm going to push you over here. That way you shouldn't be in the way of the shipping lanes or anything. And then let's take a quick look around while we're looking at it. Scooch this reference over real fast. So we've got a kind of blocky ship here. Angular at the front, which makes it nasty looking, but you've got all these thrusters sitting here exposed. I didn't know what to do with the underside because there were no pictures, and because of the depth of everything, it ended up just being a nasty little plates going across to make that flat. Very weak and not good at all. I don't know what yours has, but if you did this, it's not the structurally best, especially if this is meant to be a warship, which it probably isn't because you only have a few guns on here, and there are only these little assault ones. I do like those guns, but you need a little bit more for coverage if you're going to be doing a warship. That's like barely enough to fend itself off. I would even toss Gatlings in there just because they can track a bit faster and continuously shoot. As you come around to the side, you've got this massive hangar, and I'll actually turn this on so I can open the hangar sometime. Battery goes on. Turrets, I don't like you guys, so you can turn off so you're not moving. And then we can open all of these hangar doors. Open. We can come out here, and we can see your massive cavity entry here. So you very likely have something going this way into the ship so that you can get into here. And you can put little constructors or whatever you need, but like I said, coming in, you've probably got enough space for 2, 3 ships on this floor, and if you used this side as a deck too, then you can pretty much double that capacity, assuming none of the ships are too terribly tall when they're parked in there. And then you can just use this fly in and pop down to sit on both decks. You just got to keep your orientation right in there, so some decoration probably would be good for it. Moving to the rear, you did some really cool heat vents, or what I would call heat vents, through here. You've got something that would be like a radiator coming off of your ion engine. Same thing through here. And then these other little spiky bits. I really like this back end of the ship a lot. I think if you spread it out a little bit more to make it breathe, that would have been cooler. And still keeping these elements of these fins. So that's what we're going to do on the next one, because that's how I think that ship should be. So yours is good, and now let's try to iterate on that process. I will cut this here. Let's cut that, and we can cut through there. And I will keep this center piece here, and then try to spread out everything else. So let's do default our blocks, get my plastic back. I'm going to delete you. And delete you too. Looks like we had a floating bit in there. And then we're going to build back up a little bit. and then pull this out this way so we can reach the rear. You might want to see what I'm doing, so I'll pull this. If we're going to have a rear connector, and I'm liking rear connectors even less nowadays, just because I'd rather pull into something or pull alongside of it. But if we're going to get a rear connector on here, then it needs to extend a bit further than the thrusters. That way you're not cooking whatever you're parking next to. And it could also lend a little bit of itself to that design as well. So if we do plates around it, let's also re-enable our mirror. Actually, while I'm doing the mirror, let's do that. So now we're going to have a mirror on a mirror itself. I did this bit to cover up that conveyor. The other one had like no conveyors whatsoever. I'm not going to bother with it, but I do want to cover those ports for this guy. We're going to have that there. We're going to stagger this up a bit. And then we're going to try to do the same down here. Oh, this is giving me flashbacks from the XGP. Because it's got a weird cone thing going on in the back. And that was supposed to be the ship's drive. I think they called it their ether drives or something like that. And it was kind of weird too from Outlaw Star. Their ships either like emitted particles or something that enabled them to travel faster than light. So it was kind of weird. It looked like they emitted something to go faster, but it took them a minute to build up. Otherwise, it could have just been an effect like the jump effect of the ships that we have now to make it go faster. Or make it look like it's going faster. I don't know what the damage distance for the ion thrusters is. But I'm going to start them here. And I'm going to do this weird number. Because everything needs to breathe more than I think it does. So we're going to spread this out quite a bit. And I probably want to go even further. One of the things I think that your ship could have done with better is if you are large at the back and then you taper one way, it gives it a design to it. But yours looked like it kind of ballooned in the middle because we put the... We'll go back over here to it. I will do 7, 8. We are actually upside down. I can put my spectator over here. Because this kind of ballooned out for the loading bay or the place that you would want to put your other vehicles, it kind of lost its shape where I think it should be tapering down. Or as I also think it could be just indulge in the flatness. And then you just land on top or the sides of the ship. Which would also be an interesting concept if you just turn the ship into a multi-deck carrier, which would be interesting to explore too. Let's put a pin in that. Right now, I'm going to go for I guess more of a warship, some sort of destroyer. I'm going to stick with your ion thrusters, although I do like the sci-fi ones myself. How about we mix them? I think a mixing could be good because these guys look cool too. So if you're here, what if I put them even further? There we go. That might be a little too far. Let's get rid of that. That. Let's put that in place. And this is just so that we can kind of see and let the ship breathe as we build things around. I'm pretty sure this is too big too. But I do want to put stuff around the nacelles. So it may even just be that they're too high. And then we just need to make the ship a little more narrow and angular. That, but can I do one higher? Do that. Because I want to see, not these. If I put like the little guys in here too, that would be cool. And it would kind of echo what you've got there on the inside. But it doesn't actually go anywhere. Let's do you. And you. And we could do that. That might actually look better on the top of it. Because with this, let's see. If we've got this, let's do even more thrusters. How about that? How about we get these guys? I'm going to eliminate y'all if I can in one go. I could not. Get rid of y'all. And what if we had... That's a square there. We get rid of you. Pull this back. Or do I want that to be up one more? Leave it there. I think this is going to be a lot longer. Let's embrace the bigness. Do that. Then can I get an attachment point there? Yes. So now 6. Or I can do even more. I think I'm getting ahead of myself. I think I'm changing the plan. I think I'm going to go... I like this. You can't go there. You have to go like so. So we have some more space. And I don't like that. You're too close. Oops. I don't think these ion thrusters have enough space to breathe, though. See, that just screams to me thrust. And this is what I'm thinking of, like the Pegasus has. It has massive array of thrusters for forward thrust. And what I like to do for my ships is, because I'm more trying to go for the aesthetic for things, I would put the thrusters facing inward. So I'd have a dead zone somewhere. Or find places to incorporate a dead zone in the ship. We're going to go and we're going to take this a little crazier. We're going to kind of make a Pegasus style. Don't have a lot of space for fighters to land or take off, but we'll deal with that when we come to it. At least we can make it a gnarly gunship. And these guys need more space too. They can't get any closer than they are. They do look like they should be further out, but I'm going to try to keep them tight. I need ions. This guy. I'm going to put you... No. Yes. I'm going to put you guys here, mounting each other. And then you're going to get there as well. Is that where you were? Yes. That way those are the same. And then the horizontal thrust. I can do these big ions as well. I need horizontal and vertical thrust. These guys are neat because they can attach on those top pieces. I'm going to put you here. Then where will you sit? Where will you sit nicely for me? Nowhere, it seems. That doesn't look right, and I don't like that myself either. I would rather it be in line, like so. In line, and we'll go to the outside so you can breathe. Because the Pegasus is just like 1/3 engine. Same thing with the Galactica. If you take a good look at them, they're just all thruster everywhere, which you would need because that thing is massive. And these guys got to put... Ooh, you're not going to sit center for me nicely. You could, but I don't like you. And this is where I would rather face them inside and cook off whatever's in there. Because I could just do this, have a big dead space. How big is this dead space? 3... 1, 2... 1, 2, so it's 4, and 5 is 7. As long as it's not more than that. Let's go check Ion Space Engineers. I want to say it's 8. We are looking for ion thrusters in space. Those are hydrogen, atmosphere, and ion. Ion in space, 5 blocks. So we could get away with this. One large grid, ion thruster, 5. So we can get away with that. We have 5 to work with. So you could set there. And can you guys set any higher? I don't want them to. Because ideally I want to keep this line coming across. And I also like to keep PCU low. So I like to use as many big thrusters as I can. But since I can't keep that line going through, this is just going to be... Let's just put it up high, maybe. And then we can do a bank of these guys. Here it would be fine, actually, to push them out even and cook them inside. So we'll just do that. And then even here, let's separate those guys. Oh, there's no good separator. What if we just separate you like that? And I'm going to eliminate those extra blocks. That way they have a little bit of space to breathe as well. This side, I like this. I don't want to change the orientation of these. I don't want to do anything here, but I can shape something up to this and then forward from here. So probably pull that, maybe even some of this. Let's pull. We'll pull this guy through here. You. Okay, that looks good. And we've got it mirrored down there. And I kind of want to do the same thing for these ones, but out this way, but they're only too wide. Actually, I'll just do it here, because that's what we have in the center. And that way we can be in a similar design language. And we can call that whatever venting or whatever that we need. And we can turn off the big engines whenever we don't need big thrust. And we can even put smaller guys in here. So we don't need all of this. So what if we just took these guys out? That's all connected. And we put little ones in here. Not the sci-fi, we'll just stick with the warfare. Warfare smalls. And we can put the warfare smalls in there. That way we still have up and down thrust. And then same thing here. We'll still keep up and down thrust. And those will just be pointed at each other as well. So that way we have big thrust whenever we need to do combat maneuvers, and we can have smaller thrust for whatever else. And lateral thrust tends to suck whenever I make a ship anyway, so you're only going to get those ions. Here again, we're kind of compromising the ship where you're only going to get a... Ooh, here's something where I want. Or don't want. I need... Can I bulge this out? Where was I saying? Something to easily compromise this ship would be all of my thrusters are in the back. And that's obvious in the design language. But that's what I also want too. So, if you're going to target this ship, take out the thrusters in the back, and then it won't be able to maneuver. Just a blaring weakness in it. But that's just kind of how it is anyways. The question becomes, do you want to take out its thrusters, or do you want to take out its guns? If you're even able to do either of those. Let's take that. And pull this forward too. We're going to pull it forward to there, even though our shape on this side has ended. And I do want these to taper down. Down into the body of the craft. So what are we doing here? That's not really following the shape of the engine. But it does kind of make it point out a little bit, which is something I do want to see there. You guys can do the same coming across. Because I just want to make each of these look like separate giant engines for this craft. And it's a little awkward just because this comes down and then it's going to have what's going to look like a couple of blocks through here. So it's not going to be a smooth transition from one shape to another. Because if it were 2x1 there, it would be 2x1 to here. Let's do that then. Get rid of this and this and that. Anyway, 2x1, 2x1 tips. We can get rid of this. And then what if we did U like that? How does that look? Looks okay from the back. Interesting from the side. I'll take it. Let's see what we can do with it. Scooch this down. And I want this to taper into the body. And I do like 2x1, so I'll use these. There. Oof. I don't want too smooth of a section, but we'll just throw things down and we'll see what we get. And that way you can see whatever the body of the ship is. And it doesn't even have to get that narrow. But this is the obvious massive drive section, and then we can get into whatever else that we want in here. And that might be too narrow. We'll leave it. We'll leave it for now. And we can connect these guys so we can have a little more visualization on the structure of our ship. So we can see, hey, that's the solid internal space that we've got working with. These pieces, you've got some transitions that can come in here, don't you? You can go to you, but what do we have on this side? No. No. That could work. To what? That? Which is kind of awkward. So this comes in 1, 2 blocks to this point. That's 1. Two blocks to that point. If we did this and that again, what goes here? Don't think so. Let's try the more obvious one. I should make this taper inward more easily. This one... Ooh, I can't really do that what I was thinking. Because this comes out 2 blocks and I only have 1 to go in. I was just going to use these transitions. But I'm going to easily max out where I'm at here. Like, right as of that. I don't want to go get the mirror, so I'll just go to the mirrored side. So it's going to have to stay at that half. Let's see. That's gonna slope it in and out. Kinda. See there. Just build the two shapes off of each other. Because now we need something. Oh, that actually is the same piece there. Same piece there. Let's do... I don't want to lose what I've got. These are identical. You're different. You're the inverted piece. One that caves in on itself. There you go. Now I just need... I think I ran into this problem on the that Manticore. So I didn't have a good answer for this stacking. As I separated pieces from round to knot. But that looks to be an okay-ish thing. And then here we've separated again, so you would go to this one to match these guys. As we come down. That way it kind of slopes up because we want two distinct pieces coming off of that. It looks okay, and that might just be what we have to do just because of the limitations of the blocks that we have. I'll keep it for now. Let's mirror that up here as best we can. Do that and one more. And then separate this into you and you. You're gone, you're gone. Then you can come up to end of this. You the tip. You are both tips. Tip there, tip there. Yes and yes also. And then this was the inverted piece. Kind of splits in there, and then that one there. And then we come over here and we have 2x1 slope sides. Coming back that way. And back this way. And I'm fine with finagling this. There may even be a better transition piece for this. There you go. And that kind of rolls in. And then this is a more distinct channel coming through. Which is also fine. I can pull you through. Just gives you more stability. If anything. Would I do that? I would. Would also do... Also do this. Something to make this look like it's an important part of the drive section. What if we drop those out, and then we have another piece for you. Not that. This. That blocks that off. I almost want that to be recessed a bit, because I like how these engines are coming out. And I wanted to maintain some of this other cowling that you had, but I almost want to let this engine just breathe the way it is. Because it is beautiful. I think I might do that. Or I should just protect it. I should probably just protect it. Your worship, you should be somewhat protected. So if you're somewhat protected, you should have protection. From the outside, yes. And then what would you do? Or would you be this? Oh. That way we have different. Okay. How about... Yes. Pointier bits to make you look extra aggressive. These do, however, extend beyond my connector, which kind of defeats the purpose of having it set like that. But I'm going to go with that. And I don't know if I want to protect the inside pieces. That top kind of spoils this. So there's no top protection. But as long as you keep it away from your top, you should be good. And this is a nice piece for some other jump drives. The jump drives aren't the worst. They aren't the worst looking piece either. And sometimes I like to expose them as well. It's because they look interesting. And it can also give a sense of what's going on with your ship as well. So what if we... Because now it looks like there's mechanical bits and ventilation pieces coming through. All sorts of stuff. That's a neat rear. I like that. So much so that I'm going to continue on with it there. There we go. Or what I also like to do is have... Probably do it this way. Leave it a space. But I also like to have some sort of... like you have got the radiation fins that I've been talking about to get rid of heat. You can have that go along there, and that way it's not just a single block, and it's not a flat space. I've got something breaking it up. And it's a purpose for it. That's to dissipate heat. And I've got that top and bottom now. And that covers off those big voids. Same thing here. We can do the exact same thing. We're going to go this way. There. So now those can dissipate heat from all the ion engines or whatever else I put in here. Because this is... That's all dead zone stuff. What does this say? Damage, small grid. This is a large grid. Ion thruster. 5. And it looks like it does 5 and 3. So 1, 2, 3. I could put a plate wall here. And then have all this other for the internal space of building out the ship. With that being like the center bit here. That goes through that way. You don't need those pieces or that. So now I've set myself up for a nice engineering area. I could put more jump drives. Not right there. I would stack them probably against that wall to pull forward a couple of reactors because you're going to need some big reactors for this. But that's not what we're doing right now. We're just framing out the hull as much as we can. I think that looks pretty good. And with that thickness, I still need to taper you down. Taper you down and keep you away. Did I lose my music? I think I did a while ago. There we go. Just get in the zone building, not paying attention to what's going on. So that is what that is. Okay. Come back here. Don't know if there are any good 9 pieces that do this gradually. Because I want this to come down. I just flattened it forward. Which could be good too, because if that goes flat and forward, then I can droop it down. But now it's in conflict there. Let's just do that. Separate these pieces. One problem at a time. So we've come forward. And we can even do it again. You, and you. There. But on this side, I need something to separate that bit. No. I think you fit there. Not that one, this one. Okay. Okay. So close. About to say, okay, okay. But that can be fine. Yeah, I'll leave those as is there. Because with all of that beautification, I do need to frame out the ship a bit more. So we've blown up the back a lot. Let's see how much further we can go with the front. I think we should at least be double. Let's go here. You're further out. And if that's 22, we're going to call it. Oof, that's a lot bigger. And that way we just have something to work with here. We'll get rid of all of these, because we do have... Oh, we don't even have braking thrust back there. Whoops. Forward, yes. Braking thrust, no. A good place that we can put some spares. We can't say that we've got none, and I always overlook braking thrust. I think everyone underestimates braking thrust. All of that's in dead zones. Yep. So that'll be good. And everyone overlooks gyros too. But gyros can fit in any dead area. So we've got this, and I need to go back to your reference. There you are. Let's get that front, because that front was mean. Let's pull you together. Because it was like an angry plow. And actually it lends itself a lot to the colonial fleet style shape as well. So let's lean into that a bit. I'm going to not go off the middle. Actually, I'm going to go off of here. And we're going to get rid of this bit. Actually, what I should do is just fix the mirror. I'm going to do that. Mirror. Because I don't want to have to duplicate everything every time. We'll go here. I like your pointy bits. This is the lower portion. Do it here and here. Build these guys up. Sevens. Although that is fairly steep. That's fine. We'll make it work. Otherwise, I would stagger the head. But I think we're leaning into the shape a lot. And this is very much turning into a colonial ship. I'm here for it. And that's just the reference that I guess is jumping out to me the most right now. So I'm going to use that and work with it as we build our own thing. So that, and you're going to have a lower inset piece going through there too. Back here, we need to, wherever this is, pull that across. Because I'm going to lose your connection to the forward. So I break this. Let's go ahead and put our mirrored steps in. Okay, and then the next part is this. So this is where the next one would be, but I want it set back to here. To there. Yes. And then similar here. This is also going to be set back to here. No, it needs to get set back further. There. That way it kind of curves back a little bit. I may even want that to be further. That's good there. Let's pull you back a bit more. See how that looks. Maybe a bit too round. Let's just pull you to here. And then same thing there. It's back to 1, 2. Let's put you. That way it's a sharper pullback for this faceplate. Because this is the start of it on this plane. And then we'll just pull it back from here. I completely severed everything. Will you let me? Nope. Not like that. Let's go find our pistons and remerge. These pistons don't have merge blocks in them anymore. They don't. Then what good are you to me? We'll use... Oh, merge blocks. That's not timer blocks. You and you. And that's all merged. And I can put this in, hopefully in the right orientation. And now we're one piece again. Yes. And then you won't go up as high. That way you can, oops, kind of taper down too. This will come back, and then it can go down as well. And that's why those ships were so large, because it was like a third of the gator head, and then a third of body for giant ship launching nacelles, and then the third thrusters. And this might be a little too much for the head. But I did say I wanted to at least double it. We'll see how our shapes do here. Pull through this. And then we can always change things as we go. I can say I don't like something and change it, but I don't know what I don't like if it doesn't exist yet. Doop. And I think this should go short as well. Ooh, maybe not that short. Did not appreciate how far back that was. There we go. And then I can pull this through here just to have another anchor point. Of course, there's no blocks there to anchor to. And then we want this bit here. Pull you back. And then we can mismatch on the inside. There. And small to you're gone. That's a big mismatch over here. Maybe I use that as a staggered down. I might have to do that. So we'll use those there. And if I mismatch here, that way it's walking backwards. That's neat. And still kind of maintaining that same vibe that you had going. I will leave it at this half height. And that way we can maintain the ridge coming through. Which means you are also blocks coming through here. I didn't drop it. And then through here, also blocks coming through. And then you come through. No, you had half heights as well. Oh, so then we're more true to the form than I thought. You then. There we go. That's interesting. With a mean ridged face. And then we want to do probably. We did want those indents in there, so I will leave that indented. Same thing with this. Is that going to be indented? Go back to. And then we go the offset on this one. Yes? No. No. Tip. Base. Block. Tip. Ooh. You stay half. Stay half. Or, what did I just do there? You're supposed to be lower than, I don't even have the outer piece yet. So let's pull something from here. Let's pull this center beam through there. So these three, yes, this comes down. This is my other main one because you're too tall. You're supposed to be that central ridge. Let's build this outer guy up first then. And that way we can know what to stay on the inside of. Otherwise, we can round this guy a bit more since he is on the outside. So that's one full height. We're down one, and then you go down one more. You're at this height. And then you stop at the half. All the way back, and then you get squares through here. So we can see that ventilation through. Because this is the plane that everything is ending on. At least to some extent. We can pull this down and separate this bit. Okay, so now we've got your prickly headpiece coming through. And I do want to separate this. And I need to like almost duplicate it but be flatter. And a little further back as well. Then it's really, really going for that colonial vibe. Where you go forward. I think that's it there. Maybe a bit less. And if that's the peak, what do you have in here? Guns, of course. Massive forward battery of guns. And since we're going ions for thrusters, why not just completely overtax everything by having forward rails as well? Just gotta stick them in here so that they look neat. Don't mess with our jive. Probably means two. I don't even know how big I can make this underside. That's gonna have to have a bit more of a gut than I want to. This is very proud. This is gonna have to get staggered if I want to keep it flatter. And I can easily do that as well. Flat. There we go. Just get a good look there. I can make you come up into here. Like so. So now you have a bit of a head and a bit of a body. You're going to be the thinnest in the middle. But if we're a warship, we could have giant railgun turrets on the side. Okay. Giant railgun turrets is what we'll do. Because you had turrets on the side, I've got turrets on the side. I don't have a bridge like you did because of the shape of this, but I can put a little something in here on the top. It's in this dead zone. I would rather have like another jump drive or something, just because I think it looks cool, especially for a centerpiece. But let's work this mouth area. There's this. And then we want to duplicate it. There. And back at this point, it's probably safe to just merge over. You tip there. And then these were squares coming back. Gonna offset everything. So you, and then you get squares. Base. Block. Square goes down there. And then we ripple this. Half plates. Back to here. You could be done. And then remove that because I don't want you. And then you're just done there. So square, square, square. Okay. And then I still need to pull the next piece in. So if we are pulling this backwards. And we've got a bit of a jaw. I'll just connect you there for stability. And then this next piece, 7 for the tips, and we'll come, well, we want the next line coming through. We'll go back to here. What if we did this? Bam. And then here. That way we're tapering everything back a little bit faster. Because that goes there, and then we can stagger up. Because that's what we were doing there. Space U. Ooh, and we can start to curve. We're not even using all of our fancy curve pieces in here. We're just using other stuff. So it's staying rather blocky, but we're still getting a lot out of our blocks. If you can see what we're doing here. Pull that across there. Pull this down for structure as well. Because I'm going to be pulling this out. I don't think we need that. I'm liking this. There's a spot we gotta fill in here. Just one hole. Yep. That can come across. That's all fine to go flat. You end there, there, and here. I know I don't focus on one thing for too long. I'm just kind of following the shapes and where they go, trying to see where the next piece is. And actually, this is reminding me, is it the blue ship? The blue ship or the red ship has a side like this. Or at least that's just what it struck me as just now. With a, it's almost like a C shape opening, and then they had like a couple thrusters. Maybe it is the old red ship that did that. But here, and what if I just did one more coming back? Skip, skip, block, so I can do one more layer out here. There, and there. Is that the same? No, it's not. There. Okay. Now we've got like all sorts of ridges coming through. I don't like that last one that I did. It got too linear. You need to be gone. Maybe not. Three, two, two back, and then 2 across. 2 back, 1 across. You should go 3 back, 3 back. How about that? How about 3 back here? 3. And then you can be 3 now. That way it angles out that head a bit. And then we never need this piece, which looks weird now. Okay. Just take a look at it from that other angle, and then we can adjust our geometry as necessary. Which I don't really think it needs that much of. It can stay as is. Their full block height's difference, right? Yeah. And then this can just be that last outside piece. This can come. Make it flat inside. Thank you. And you. And I can put whatever stuff I need in here. The rail guns, antennae, beacons, whatever. But that looks cool and mean. You don't need anything there. The back part of the head, where are you going? Square, I think you should go 1, 2. Let's do 1, 2, 1, 2, and then you have a piece. One, two, then have a piece. So that means we need to get rid of this stuff, because we're actually carving inwards. That's fine. Now you've got a big block head. Yeah. That looks neat. This looks like it should be a lot larger. And then have even more body in between, so that we can put more stuff in here. And I think that's exactly what I'm going to do. We've got more space to the rear. So I'm going to move it that way. Let's do it like so. That way I've got a good connector. But how far am I going to move it? This is my mirrored piece anyways. If I cut and paste it, that'll be fine. I think we're done moving forward. I was going to move the rear, but I'll just leave it where it's at. Instead, let's remove the head. And let's pull forward another 7. Let's be generous here. We're working with big ships, big designs, big numbers. Because it's easier to make it smaller. Okay, we've got a big head. We can shrink this a little bit. And I mean, if you want your giant air wing to come through, that's a good position for it to sit. Same thing here. The massive thrust area. We are building the blue ship with a thin neck, a big head, a big rear, and a thin neck. We'll just do it, because your ship is blue, this ship is blue. And that's what we're going to do. And that gives me even more space in here for guns and such. We'll keep that clear. This, I mean, that can be whatever. But this needs to be tiered down for guns. For guns to go in there. So I could have a thing for 1, 2, 3 for a gun, and then a space. 1, 2, 3 for a gun, and then a space. 1, 2, 3 for a gun, and then that space. Let's do it. That's where guns are going to go. And that way you get not too much gun spam, because otherwise I'd put big ones up there too. 6. And then if you want an air wing to come in, I mean, how big were your ships? I don't know. But I do want that design philosophy coming through. I'm going to pull off of here. Something strong. Not there. I pulled that off the gun bay. I pulled that off the front of the gun bay. I will pull this off of the gun bay. You can come off the gun bay too. That way that back section will breathe just a little bit. This. And I'm essentially just building the Pegasus right now. Sorry. That's just what's happening. You just become something else altogether. A mix between the various battle stars and their similar elements. So if I pull you out and down, and out and down, what I want is for this pod to come far enough out so that you can fly ships, little ships, in and out of it without having to back out. And even in Pegasus, they droop below the silhouette a bit. But the question is, how far did we want to take that? I'll just make a shape. Oops, missed that one. Because that's 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't know how big your ships are again. Yeah, delete that guy there. But this is the hangar space. That's 2 because you had the 2 tall hangar door, airtight hangar door guys coming through. Take a look out here. Those look like they're too low. I don't like it. I'd move them up a bit. And they're fine for how far out they are, I guess. Let's take a look up here. I want them to slope out more. Because what I also want here is another gun emplacement. So if I had here for a stack of 3, I want... Let's work these 2 designs together. Here for a gun, space. Oh, because the gun would end up only being in here. Yeah. And I want this to sit out more. So you'd have to be out here. So I could have my pylon. Let's do you. Because I want a gentle slope. And this is what I had up there. Gentle slope. And the center part can be a gun mount. That way I can still get this far enough out. It won't be as far down. I'll just use this as a measurement. 7. One more. That's fine there. And I thought you were too far down. Probably just by 2. So if I do still do 1, 2, I can do this. Because these could all be airtight hangar doors or something through there. 2, 3, 4. And then back in and up. Pull that across. So then with this in hand, it's 1, 2, 3. We'll cut you down. 6. How do I want to do this? 1, 2, 3 makes another gun platform right there. 1, 2. So if this were the platform for another gun, I could pull that and that. Even better, I think. There. And then I can set a gun platform here and another one staggered down. That'll be neat. I think so. Oh, and then I have enough for one more. One more staggered gun platform on my flight deck. Or I probably want more space in the flight deck itself. So let's not get too carried away here. Let's pull the deck forward. Because you'd be coming through here. It's already be kind of tight. But this would be your end of the line here. That guy. You too high, and then come in. And at least here is where we're going to have larger connections, I guess. I can make it look like larger connections. I can thin out the walls on the inside. 1, 2, 3, 4. And by larger connections, I mean, let's go find our airtight hangar door. Because it only raises space at 2. So if I even get rid of all y'all, I get rid of those. Do I want... I don't think I want the window. 4. 4 there, and then I'd have to fix it on that other side. But this would be the closing of the door and the opening of the door. I'd still have a space at 2, so you're docking small grid craft coming through there. But you do get more spaces for guns and such. I don't know if you want those, but that's what you're getting here. There and there. So we can get a gun mount there. A gun mount there. And I would want to pipe one in here. But I think that's going to be sufficient over there. So let's fill in some more of the space. Because this is pylon here. Let's fill that in. And then we can fill this guy in. And this little pod, like that's just the arm sticking out. I could make the pod piece itself even wider. And it looks like it should be. So if we just come down to there where we're at, let's just make it a bit wider. We'll get rid of these guys here. I think you're free floating now. Yeah. We'll get rid of those guys. And delete these. Well, let's just play with it a little bit. So we can have some more stuff coming out. We have a largely flat arm. Let's duplicate that because this is throwing me off before we proceed. Those. This is gone entirely. We're going to come down here. Yes. Boop. Boop. That's fine there. And then that connects these pieces together. This one extends 2. This one is triangles crossed. This is also 2 with a gun mount here. And then you are this. You go there, and another one. Not you. There. Okay. I like that. I like that. And I can extend the tube for this pylon a bit more, because it definitely looks like it needs to be. What if I did... this? Now that space is only 1, because I'm saying that that is longer. I do like it being further out because it'll make it easier to hit, but it does need to have that height of 2. Getting rid of all of this, you're wrong. All that's gone. Gone. Gone, 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 gone. So you come down just a bit more, and then I can come in with this. But we have the one problem still of only being able to service small grid craft if we're going to do it like this and still have airtight hangar doors as our primary hangar doors. I think that looks like it's too far out now. It is. It is. I think it's too far out by 1 block. Let's just make this easier on me. Remove that. Add these guys back. You become this because I like that look. And then I just get rid of that hanging piece. Here. 2 down. And then back in. And this can come out a bit more too. Maybe even one more. And I think this is pretty well in line with the Pegasus as well. Like, it had guns everywhere. One, two, three, four. I'll give you that much to work with. Like, it had guns even on its bays. I want to say it did. So not just coming down these struts, because its struts were fixed, but I want to say it had guns down here as well. And we actually have the fitting for it. I almost like this clamp on a little bit better than what I've got there. What if I even cut you back, make you this? That'll work. You. And then you come down to, but we've got a huge blank wall that we're working with now. Which would be fine for putting the ship's name on. And I want to say it did have its name out here. So, actually some good real estate for a name. A nice flat piece. And then this can come over here. And some of this until it gets to this arm, which I don't have a thickness for. Because it absolutely should. It does have a thickness on this side, though. Pull the roof across. We can know that's our top. This looks cool. This can run down here. I like. And then this guy. Why not? Why not come up from there? Ooh, because you've got the connection coming in. So I would hide that a little bit. I'll hide it a little bit because then you could plummet into the ship that way. Same thing, into the ship. There was one more. You come into the ship. You come into the ship. Maybe it was just that simple. 1, 2, 1, 2. Yep. And then if I really wanted, I could put guns here. But I really did just end up making the Pegasus with design elements from your ship. So sorry, not sorry, but it looks pretty good. let's skip that one. I'll flush this. And that way I can put airtight hanger doors back in here. 5. We're going to use your DLC hanger doors. Even though we really don't need any DLC up to, well, I guess the ion thrusters. Those are critical for the looks. Must have. This pod can come that way. Then whatever this mistake was, gone. That way you can have like a little run up to it and back. I don't have anything in for the body. I can find where the body goes by filling these pieces in for these struts. Looks like it should be there anyways. And so I could even pull it like up and over. I don't have to go down. Let's even do that. Because that makes it less vulnerable. So it never had to go down in the first place. Tucking it up in there. And then the body of the ship just kind of fills in there. Another big flat area. And then if you have these big pieces out here, you're going to want somewhere for your ships to connect into, and you're going to have to work it around the walls. I don't have an interface around here, do I? There's a battery down here. You're not airtight hangar doors, you're warfare hangar doors. Open these guys up. Oh, if you were flying through, I don't know how big your ships are, but I would say easily every plate up top here can be a half plate. No, because you still have the ceiling there. Let's actually pull out a Viper real fast. Even you? I think you're all hydrogen, so you'd be good. Wrong Viper. But you're all hydrogen. You look like an early Viper. Yeah, because you got railguns on you. But if I've got this guy, and I'm coming in... Do I not have upthrust? I don't. I know I do. So, interesting. Something's not connected for my thrusters. On, off, stockpile. Oh, all my thrusters on. I did make this to have some of the thrusters off so that it could land easier. So here I would just be come in for landing. And this is probably too tall. Turn out V. I bet you're too tall. Yep. Too tall and too wide, but that is an airplane. I can easily make this wider. And let's do that while we're talking about it. Let's strip all of this. Put in another 1, 2, 3, 4. That'll be 5. I think that should be amply wide. there. Go in there. This is gone, so I can have a little more hanger width. And I think what I would do if I were designing something like this is I would have the fighter first. And that way I know how big this needs to be, and the rest of the ship can be scaled around that. I mean, with as big as this pod is, it can't really support a big craft. We'll set this guy in here. And this is pretty small too. And Vipers are what this thing would be launching anyways. But the launch tubes on the show are a lot more complicated than this, because this is just the landing area. They've got a whole other chunk that is the actual engineering bay and launch bay for those guys too. So maybe the best that this thing could even launch is just a drone, which is also fine because you could just launch a ton of drones and manufacture them in here and then just shoot them out. I would shoot them out downwards, if anything. What is all this nonsense? Get. I guess parts of this became disconnected at some point. And that's why they're not perfectly mirrored anymore. Take a look. We've got a lot of gyro on this guy. Yeah, you're not mirrored. Alright, let's see. Can fly in here. Nailed it. And then you have a Viper sitting in there. But again, with a lot of things that I've seen, a lot of ships, we can even stow you. Yeah, this thing goes really fast forward. This is... And you can just like point the nose at whatever and then just kind of drift, which is what it wants. I'll park you over here too, so you can be as a reference. But that looks pretty cool, and it's using similar design elements from what you've got. In here, this looks cavernous, and we want to finish... Let's start to wrap up here. And then we can come and revisit these ideas on another ship. But I think starting to get in the weeds. There we go. So that'll be those. This giant gaping hole is where the body needs to come through. This comes forward 7. We are looking at the mirror. Yes. No. What about you? Yes, yes, no, yes. Fill that in. I don't think we needed this chain to come down either. It could come forward into there. That's happy as well, and a little more protected. This body, I'm just going to drag you back. Now you're connected in there. A couple of more blocks in here. This gator bit would only come in so far, but you could fill it with rail guns. I think the Pegasus itself had tons of big batteries facing forward. So here, this is going to be your inside. Let's just fill that line in. This would be very small for a carrier. This would need to be the size of whatever your ship would need to be, and then it would make that carrier much, much larger. Hangar doors. Hangar doors. We're going to open them all. Some of them can be opening. The top looks pretty good. Let's see if we can't close off some of this back area here. Kind of didn't want it just to be square. Let's see how that looks for us. Just because the rest of our body is square coming in. And then maybe we can blend pieces if necessary where we can. Unless we just want to be bold with those decisions. Like, that can be there. This can come this way. There. And maybe we just ignore this entirely, and it just becomes a bulging piece there. Because we've got a big flat piece here. Nope. That's a square. Big flat piece coming through there. And then these can just be big flat pieces there. Okay. I would do those just like that. That looks good. In here, what do we want? Rails. I want rails for you. I would put... It's too far. There. There, a rail. And then on the inside of that one, another rail. Fill some of this in. I also want this battery off for right now. Because I'm going to turn turrets. I'm going to place turrets, rather, and I don't want them floating all over. Or moving all over. You can almost scoot back a bit more. Oh, you're sitting all the way on the outside? Look at our rails. Yes. Why not sit right there? And then you can have another friend right there. And then could you have another other friend? Another other rail friend. Even further forward? Further. Yes. And then you can sit in those little slots. That's neat. I like that. And then we can reinforce a bit by coming through here. Kind of blocking off this area. And then whatever piping that needs. Again, I'm not piping up everything in here for you. But there's lots of space to be used for just as such. say I'm not piping, and then here I am doing it. Because the design must flow. This comes back as a chain, your chain. You guys can connect to each other up through there. So now you've got those chains going. Some sort of camera would be fantastic there, since it'd be center line of all your railguns. I would also think, let's put, where are my turrets? It's on the right page for it. Big guns. Big guns are very, very slow. Let's do, you guys look like you sit here correctly. And then you can have these side-mounted guys. I think in my little Chopper 4, that's much smaller than this. I even had them out here. The Gatling guns, just because you need more coverage. And then I also think you should have some sort of chin gun here too. I would put a chin gun there. So if that's the case, I would pulp you. Where is your port? Back here, isn't it? That's a little too far back for what I want. I would put it there, maybe. There. Now you're piped in there, and you can even pull through that way. I don't even know if that connected, but that's how I would pipe it if I had to. And then all those extra conveyor junctions can, of course, turn into the armored ones. That way they're not going to pop and they don't look immediately ugly. But that looks pretty fierce. Got a lot more guns on you. And I'm going to just turn all those ion thrusters off. We'll take a quick fly around. Not turn the ion thrusters off. I mean, the ion thrusters are off. This turrets, I want to turn you off so you don't idle move. I hate idle movement on those. There we go. And I heard those ion thrusters kick back on, because I do like seeing those idle. I do love their plumes. I just hate that they're ions. That looks pretty sweet. Let's do a quick tap. Take a look at that. I think it needs to be blue to match your ship. Otherwise, we're looking at another gray Hulk. Let me do that before I get too excited here. We'll grab... You had default blue. That's what I gave you. Default blue, clean armor. And then we had the highlight of this and also clean armor. So for here, I would definitely make these darker. This part of the strut, definitely darker. This part darker. The inner part of the strut could be lighter, maybe. We also had some lightness. We're gonna make these guns dark, because I think they look more intimidating that way. Doot. I think this looks pretty cool. It's very simple. I didn't go nearly as hard as I could have, and I think I really like the basic shape that we came up with here. Very simple, very flat, still very blocky, but it kind of speaks to what this is, and it's just a giant warship. I mean, even the new, what are they, Prototech ships, have this to an extent. And like, look how little DLC there is on here. You don't need fancy things to make a cool looking ship. And that's what I was trying to do with the build study, is I didn't have any of the fancy blocks. And I just kind of went ham on buildings, and just blocky buildings looked very, very cool. I really think the blue should be used sparingly. I don't like how everything is blue, but I'm going to stick with the colors that you had. So that'll be gray and blue, because I think those need to be colored differently. Let's do... That had to be gray and blue. I think you need to be all gray in the body. How about it? I think I'm just turning it gray at this point. This is going to be blue. Just leave it blue. Leave it alone. It's not your ship. Darker guns, darker guns. Blue body. Oops. Come on, let me in. There we go. Paint gun, give me some range. Darker color turret. And these can be dark, because that's kind of a structural reinforcement is what I'm trying to convey. This is dark. This is light. Mostly blue. Blocky as all get out. I could do something about this. This doesn't have to be blocky like it is. And those are the wrong kind of blocks. What was I doing here? Gross. Gross, gross. Wow, I messed that all sorts of up, didn't I? And what is this? I must have just had the wrong block out entirely, because none of those should have been 2x1. Not a single one of those. Wow. I'm glad I came back in there. You can come this way, and we can still be kind of chunky. Use that inverted corner. My nemesis will use you. And then we definitely need these to be vents. And that's precisely what all y'all are. And then this is got to be blue. I'm not supposed to see beneath you. And same above. Nope, I don't see above. It's good. Go back to you. More vents. And that way those stand out a bit too. Let's make your thrusters defaults here light gray. Make the light gray clean. I think the paint tool's messing up a bit since these last changes, because it won't let me color pick with it like I want. We'll make all of our thrusters on the outside light gray, because that's what you had, and it makes it pop. Let's make you a dark gray. And you can be blue. Light gray. Are you light gray? Now. There we go. Ooh, we're still have work to do on the underside. Still too early to cheer for anything. Okay, even just that little bit of color splash really pulls the ship together. Let's fix our underside. We never finished this, and that's one of the easier things to skip on a ship. Let's do, we need 7s. Offset here. Here. Tip and half blocks. You, no, you've met it at that point. We don't want you to meet. We want you to stay lower. 7, half. Somehow I deleted that. 6, 7. Actually, you can just stay there. Which means that would be another armored piece anyways. Because this is only a half height. Yeah. That's what that would have to be. I think the bellies are pretty ordinary on the underside. Ordinary and vulnerable. I don't remember what I even did for Choppa 5. But I think it was pretty lazy. No, it was full of thrusters. That's what it was. It was also full of thrusters. Lazy and full of thrusters. How about that? I'll take that. And go over here with the tool, because you're all vents. Dark vents. So that is ugly and flat. Which means you could even hang some ships on the underside if you wanted. You could put some more guns under there. You can even make its belly distend a bit more if you needed space for things. I don't know where you're going to get in and out, but I'm following your design of having the connector at the rear. Personally, I would just put a connector on the side because we have nice inset connectors now, and you would just dock right there on the side. Or even with this design too, you could just pull it all the way forward and have a connector all the way up to the front. But those are things that I would do on here. But this looks pretty cool. I can, when I complete this video, I'll make sure I post it, and I'll post this one for you. And well, let me finish painting it here. Like, famous last words, you're almost done. Like, nope. Always one more thing. Let's just make it look good. There we go. Anyways, like I was saying, this looks pretty good, and I kind of took your design and merged it with another design. Because I like the way those colonial ships look. And yours kind of had a really mean thruster cluster at the rear, and I just took that 4 and then doubled it up and extended it and played off of it. And then I guess I was thinking of this because this is what I ended up building. Can I, or do I even need to? I think these are fine the way they are, just like that. I'm kind of happy with this. What are we at? Like 3 hours of work right here. So I think this is in a good position with what we've got, considering that we didn't really start with. Hold on, this is gonna bother me. You're not the same. Why are you not the same? Go away. There we go. Yeah, considering we didn't have a reference for the Pegasus or a design for your ships, that you've got in your carrier. I think this looks pretty good. And we can even we'll take this guy. You don't have gyros or anything. I'm going to park you over here because I'm definitely going to come back and work these more so we can have more iterations of these for you. I like that. There we go. So there's your original ship, or at least as close as I could get to it with some of your design aesthetics. And then I changed that into something else. We got definitely a big warship. No visible bridge here. And some more guns, because I really like the way your back end looked here. And we can even turn this on. Turrets off. Off. Keep getting distracted with what I'm saying. Battery can be on so we can have those thrusters. Yeah, I don't know what you're doing with tires. I hope this wasn't a rover, because it's definitely not a rover-like. But I did like how your back end pieces went here. I think maybe the next one we'll do is a cargo ship, since this is a fighter carrier, which is kind of like what you've got. You've got a large hangar area, very large hangar area. So I don't know what you were carrying in there, but we could do a, like, I don't know, like an industrial planet cracker, or just an asteroid farmer. Because if we've got an asteroid farming craft, then you can have a reason to do giant subcraft for it. But really, at that point, I would just make another big craft that actually can do the drilling and oring itself, because the large grid is going to be more effective at it. You can just plunge into whatever you're doing, as opposed to trying to deploy a bunch of small craft, unless that's the whole purpose is spaceships are expensive and smaller craft are better, if that fits your genre or whatever. And those kind of design limitations or inspirations are definitely something that you can do for your ships as well, because that definitely plays a theme into the builds. Not everything has to be magic thrusters and other stuff. You can be very much more hard science and just build this to look it. But that's what I've got for right now. I hope that you've enjoyed the build, and we'll have to continue on for another one. But until next time, go forth and build great things. See you then.